All right, guys, Greek translation time again, nearing the end of John chapter 1. We've been on that for a while here, and we'll keep going. A little bit longer translation today. We'll get through a few more verses. We're just kind of doing paragraph at a time. Those are nice little chunks for us. So here we go. We'll keep going. Te aparion, athalason, ex elthane, ace tain Galilean, kai Hiriske, Philippon, kai lege auto ha Jesus, akaluthe moi. Now, teoparion, that's one of those phrases you don't technically know it as a vocabulary word, but we've seen it to start the last three paragraphs, right? So on the next day, maybe you're starting to get a sense for that. That will happen sometimes if you're a little bit intentional about that. When you encounter a word once, twice, three times, four times, even if it hasn't been a vocabulary word that I've encouraged you to memorize, you can maybe keep a special page in your note where you just kind of jot some of those things down. As extra, or maybe it'll just stick without trying too hard. You'll just, through that repetition, you'll get it. So on the next day, he wanted to enter into Galilee and find Philip. Okay, who's the he? Well, we see up above, Jesus is the one doing the talking before, and he tends to be kind of the main character. It was John for the first 2/3 of this chapter, but the emphasis is kind of shifted to Jesus. So Jesus is the subject here, right? So Jesus wants to go into Galilee and find Philip. And Jesus said to him, once again, pretty basic sentence here. Lege, present active indicative, first or third person singular, rather, right? Jesus is our subject, okay? Nominative masculine singular. So Jesus says to him, akaluthe moi, follow me. Okay, follow me. Verse 44. Einde ha Philippos apa Bathsaida ek tes Peleos Andreu kai Petru. And Philip was from Bethsaida. Notice we've got this double dot here, right? That's telling us that the alpha iota is not a diphthong. Instead, we need to pronounce both of those vowels individually, right? So that's why I'm saying Bethsaida. And that normally shows up if you have a Hebrew word that's being transliterated into Greek, and that's what's going on here. Bethsaida is Hebrew town, named a Hebrew name, and so we have to, when we transliterate it, when we translate it, when we transfer it into Greek, sometimes there's a little bit different thing going on there, right? And so Philip was from Bethsaida, from the city or town of Andrew and Peter. Okay, so Andrew and Peter are brothers. Okay, and Philip is from their same town, and Jesus wants to go recruit him. Okay, verse 45. Hiriske Philippos ton Nathanael kai lege auto han egropsen mauses en tonamo kai prophetai hurekamen iesun huion tu Iosef ton apa Nazaret. Okay, Philippos. Notice the os there. That this is nominative. Philip finds, or again, we might do historical present there. Philip found Nathanael and says to him, who Moses wrote in the law. We might say, who Moses wrote about in the law and the prophets, we have found. Jesus, son of Joseph from Nazareth. The one, or that might say the one from Nazareth. Okay? The one who Moses wrote about in the law, we have found. So notice how quickly, at least from the perspective of this narrative, how quickly this is happening, right? Somebody finds somebody else. Jesus goes and finds Philip in Galilee and says, follow me. And presumably, it doesn't necessarily give us a passage of time, but the next sentence is, so Philip goes to find Nathanael, and this is his pitch to him. He says, the one that Moses wrote about, we have found. So Jesus is really convincing these guys quickly based on his teaching, his words, the force of his personality, his Christ nature, whatever. He's convincing them very quickly that he is the Messiah, such that they want to go recruit their friends to come follow this guy, right? Verse 46. Kai apen auto Nathanael ek Nazareth dunatai ti agathon enai lege autu ha Philippos erku kai ade. Okay. And Nathanael said to him, Ek Nazareth dunatai ti agathon enai. Notice, here's one of our vocabulary words from this week, right? Can you recognize lexical form? Yep, it's dunamai, right? And so we have, we have those middle passive endings. This is a deponent, right? It comes from dunamai. This is third person singular, and it means he, she, it is able. Okay, so is it able, or is it possible for anything good to be from Nazareth? Okay, so Nazareth has a reputation, okay, and Nathanael is not a fan of that reputation, right? Is it possible, is it able for anything good to come from Nazareth, right? So we see our vocabulary word showing up. Philip says to him, come and see. Erku, also a word that we know this week. Erkamai, this is a form that we don't know. This is a command. We won't learn that till the end of Module 2. We'll get there, but a form of erkamai that you might recommend, right? So Philip says to him, come and see. By the way, notice that this article here is in brackets. What those brackets just mean is that there's a text critical issue going on. So in other words, some of the early copies of John have this definite article and some of them don't. And so then the text editor here is just telling us that, right? It's saying it might be there, it might not, we're not sure, right? So Philip says to him, come and see. 47. Eden ha Iesus tan Nathanael kamenon pros auton kai lege peri autu ide alethos Israelites ein ha dalas uk esten. Jesus saw Nathanael coming, erkamenon, that's a participle of erkamai, right? Don't know the form, but you know the word. Saw Nathanael coming to him and said about him. Notice, not saying to him, but says about him. While Nathanael's on the way, he says about him, Ide alethos Israelites, behold a true Israelite in whom there is no deceit. Okay, that's what Jesus says about Nathanael. Behold a true Israelite in whom there is no deceit. 48. Legeo to Nathanael pathen me genoskes. Apekrithe Iesus kai apen auto pra tu se Philippon sonesai anta hupa tain sukain edan se. Nathanael says to Jesus, how do you know me? Right? Jesus is commenting about him when he's on the way. Behold a true Israelite in whom there is no deceit. And Nathanael says, how do you know me? Jesus answers and said to him, before Philip called you, I saw you were under the fig tree. Okay? Before Philip called you. Now notice, this is one of those, kind of the before here, okay? Prepositional phrase. Okay, a lot of that you don't know. The most simple version of this sentence, everything from the colon to the end of the sentence, is just, I saw you, right? So I is the subject, this is the verb, and you is the direct object. I saw you. But then we have all these qualifiers, right? Before Philip called you, I saw you were under the the fig tree, right? So there's kind of those elements that are adding on and making this more complex. And so probably what you need to do is read through that and translate everything you can, and then just start to pull out what you know and kind of piece things down, okay? Piece things together. But these prepositions before and under, and this is a participle which you don't necessarily know, but those prepositions, those prepositional phrases can help you kind of piece those together a little bit sometimes. And frankly, sometimes you just need, to translate a word or a couple words to help you with that. Maybe sometimes you can go over and look at an English translation to see how they take care of that. Don't depend on that too much. Make sure you try to get it on your own first, because we don't want to be dependent and cheat by looking at a English translation too much. That can just make for lazy translation habits, but sometimes we have to do that. Verse 49. Apekrithe auto Nathanael, Rabbi su e hahuias tu theu, su basileos e tu Israel. Nathanael answered him, Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are King of Israel. That's his response, right? Verse 50. Apekrithe Jesus kai epan auto, hati epan soi, hati edan se hupakato, tes sukes, pistues, mezo tuton opse. Okay. Jesus answered and said to him. That's another phrase we're going to see a lot, right? Answering and saying to him. Okay. Apen, apokrinomai. From this chapter, this is a form you don't know, but I think you've memorized this is a vocab word. But a phrase like this, Jesus answered and said to him, we're just going to see that a ton. So the quicker that can just become really automatic. Think about, every time that comes up, if you don't have to use any brain power, that's just really going to help you speed up your translation. That's how we grow and move forward and build confidence in our ability to translate, which is really good. So Jesus answered and said to him, because I said to you that I saw you under the fig tree, you believe. There's a word we know, pistues, present active indicative, second person singular. Because I said that I saw you under the fig tree, you believe. Greater than these you will see. In other words, greater things than this, than these things right now, just because I saw you under a fig tree and I remembered, greater things than these you will see. Okay? So yeah, Jesus is kind of prophesying about things that are gonna happen better. 51. Kai legeo to amena main lego humin obseste tan uranan aneogata kai tus angelus tu theu anabainantas kai katabainantas epiton huian tu anthropu. And he said to him, and talking about Jesus here, and Jesus said to him, truly, truly, I say to you. This is another one of those phrases that you'll just see a bunch and it'll just become second nature. Amene mainly go humin. You won't have to use any brain power to remember that it means truly, truly, I say to you. You will see heaven opened and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man. Okay, there we go. Tan huian tu anthropu. Another one of those phrases shows up so much, right? You will see the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man. All right? Guys, that's the end of John chapter 1. Good work. Fun translating that with you. We will keep going, keep working, keep translating. We'll make it happen, guys. See you next time. God bless.